Tonight on CFTK-TV News, concerns over snowpack levels and drought risk, leaked safe supply documents result in a formal corruption investigation, and the Terrace Little Theatre presents a provocative farce.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday, May 15th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. We begin tonight with our news local to the Northwest. Police in Kitimat are warning the public of a scam that's going around. Police say that on May 8th, a resident came into the Kitimat RCMP detachment to report a suspicious email with a letter attached. The letter appeared to be on official RCMP letterhead and stated that the person was being investigated for accessing child pornography. The Kitimat RCMP are confirming that this is a scam and a phishing email. RCMP say they would never contact a suspect of a crime via email and/or letter. They say the letter has been reported at several detachments over the past few weeks. If you received this email or letter, RCMP say to delete it and do not respond. Next, we looked to a local theater in the midst of putting on a production. Here's CFTK-TV's Cale Maslin with the report.
The Terrace Little Theatre has been staging the production of a play throughout parts of the month of May, and this particular show comments heavily on a subject that many might consider inescapable at this moment in time.
It's a dark comedy, and it's about the state of things in America right now. It was written in response to 9/11, so that was at around the year 2000, 2001. About the Bush administration and the Republicans down in the USA. And it is now much more timely than it was then.
The God of Hell follows a dairy farming couple living quietly together before their lives get infiltrated by a strange government agent that is peddling Americana wares. The play came from the mind of a well-known writer and actor, although its subject matter was not what he was typically known to write about.
It's written by a gentleman named Sam Shepard. He's passed away now. Some of his plays have gone on to win the Pulitzer Prize in the United States. This is one of his lesser-known plays. It's a later play that he wrote and he very rarely wrote political plays. They were usually about the death of the American dream and the family. But this one takes a bit of a turn.
The play was previously put on at the end of last week on May 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, and will be shown again starting tonight with more showings taking place tomorrow and Saturday, all of which will take place at 7 p.m. outside of a 2 p.m. matinee on Sunday. The reception to the production so far has been a positive one, which can most likely be owed not only to the efforts of the cast and crew, but also to the now more relevant than ever themes discussed in the play.
They're going really well. People are really enjoying themselves. They're having a great deal of fun because there's so many parallels to what's going on with President Trump down in the United States right now. So people are picking up on all of that and having a really good time with it. And it's hard. We're competing against the sunshine, and it's May long weekend coming up, but we're pretty happy, and our audience is happy too.
$25 tickets to the play are available at Misty River Books and at the theater door prior to the play starting, but regardless of how you might get in, the Terrace Little Theatre is promising that you will have a great time nonetheless. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin.
Low snowpack in the province is raising not only environmental concerns, it's also raising power concerns. Here's CTV's Yasmin Gandam.
Clear and sunny skies means not a lot of snow on the mountains.
So below normal, but not quite as extreme as last year for April 1st.
BC's latest water supply bulletin shows a risk of drought with the snowpack sitting at 71% of normal.
The downside of low snow is that it then could lead to water availability issues, drought issues, and oftentimes wildfire is associated with the drought.
Less water equals less electricity, and this energy expert says that's concerning.
And that's one of the reasons BC Hydro has become a significant net importer of electricity, including from the United States. in fact, record amounts.
The power gap comes as Donald Trump is calling on Canada being the 51st state and slapped our country with steep tariffs.
Unfortunately, we've handed the president a bit more leverage because we're depending on the United States right now to keep our lights on.
Penner says we may not be able to control the weather, but we can control energy policy. He's calling on the province to remove electric vehicle mandates.
We have to import power, and the regime they put in place means it could end up putting money in the hands of Elon Musk, who frankly hasn't really indicated that he's a friend of Canada.
It comes as the province has approved 9 new Indigenous-led wind power projects to meet the growing demand for electricity. The massive Site C Dam in northern BC is also expected to generate energy, which will come online by the end of this year. Yasmin Gantam, CTV News, Vancouver.
Coming up next, extensive ER closures plaguing the province. 3 men have been arrested on allegations of theft of about $185,000 worth of merchandise inside 4 shipping containers. Mounties in Burnaby say the items were stolen in August and November from the same business in the city. Police say a 6-month investigation led to the execution of a search warrant at a storage warehouse in Surrey, where they seized a Freightliner tractor, a forklift, as well as dozens of pallets of toilet paper and paper towels, beer, and food. They say charges against the men, who ranged in age from 40 to 54, are pending. And as the healthcare crisis in this province continues, emergency rooms across the province continue to close intermittently, and the implications are disastrous. CTV's Michelle Bernoro reports from Lillooet, whose ER consistently has temporary closures.
Don Glasgow, who lives just outside Lytton, is still recovering after a second heart attack last month.
I had 2 stents put in, and still kind of weak and tire easy.
Still, he considers himself lucky because Lillooet ER, roughly an hour's drive away, was open the day he needed it, but closed the day before and the day after his heart attack.
It's like playing Russian roulette with somebody's health. You never know if it's going to be open or closed, and you don't plan heart attacks.
She says the emergency room has been temporarily shut down 26 times this year.
It's a incredibly significant risk to the community at large. It's also a huge risk for the tourists and for people who are now traveling throughout the region.
I know that Interior Health is doing everything they can to cover the shifts that need to be done, and that there are circumstances that arise sometimes where they just cannot do that.
Compounding the problem for people like Dawn is that Lytton's medical center, which included urgent care, burned in a wildfire nearly 4 years ago.
We used to have those facilities here in town, so that if somebody had something like that happen, they could at least be stabilized till we could get them out of here. We don't have that anymore. And it's dangerous.
We haven't had a commitment yet whether they're going to rebuild or not. We've heard they want to rebuild, but we haven't had any commitments yet from the province.
The community can use the primary care center on Lytton First Nation lands, but it doesn't provide the level of care Lytton used to have.
We've been very clear we want what we had before or better.
One of the most important things we can do is to support the rebuilding of all kinds of infrastructure, and that includes the health infrastructure. So that's why we've been working with them directly on reestablishing health services there.
As for Don, he says the lack of emergency medical care in his area worries him at a time when he needs less stress in his life. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Lytton.
Leaked safe supply documents earlier this year have led to a formal corruption investigation. CTV's Rob Buffum explains.
Changes to safer supply laws in BC were triggered when this leaked document from the Health Ministry acknowledging widespread trafficking of the drugs was made public by Conservative MLA Eleanor Sturco in February. Sturco, the public safety critic, recently faced a police interview amid an RCMP investigation into the leak.
It's our duty to hold this government accountable, and having this information safely and securely brought forward by members of the public is at the heart of an MLA's duty to represent the public.
The investigation was directed by the Director of Police Services, Glenn Lewis. The Public Safety Minister in charge of police in BC and Lewis's superior denies he knew about the investigation beforehand and says the decision was made independently and he approves of it.
I certainly approve of an investigation being conducted into the information that was provided by her.
But Begg's boss, the Premier, was seemingly less approving of the probe, saying police time should better be spent chasing criminals selling drugs or pharmacies giving kickbacks, not a whistleblower flagging a problem, something the NDP's legislation from 2019 was supposed to protect against.
I really hope that there is more effort going into investigating these pharmacies rather than anything related to the member and what she did in this House.
Opposition Leader John Rustad worries about broader chilling effects, including for the health community.
That they feel it is unsafe for them to speak out, whether it's doctors or whether it's nurses. They're telling us the stories, but they say we cannot speak, we cannot say anything. They're afraid.
The RCMP say the investigation isn't into Sturco, but rather any police who leaked the document. EB says the government looked into it, but can't order the probe stopped.
Recognize effective opposition work. This was certainly a case of that. If I had had those documents on the other government, I wouldn't have hesitated.
Protecting her source, Sturco says they're not police, adding she found the situation intimidating.
I felt worried. It is intimidating to receive, even for myself as a former police officer, when you hear that an anti-corruption unit wants to talk to you. It's not a great feeling.
Robert Buffum, CTV News.
Turning to the weather, today's moon phase is a waning gibbous at 92% illumination. The sun rose at 5:25 a.m. this morning in the northwest and sets at 9:36 p.m. Tonight on the north coast, expect conditions to be rainy with winds from the southeast at 20 kilometers an hour, except 40 over exposed coastal sections, temperature 8 degrees. Over the next few days on the north coast, expect periods of rain to continue through the weekend and into next week, with temperatures between 9 and 10 degrees, overnight lows between 6 and 7 degrees. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect rain with winds from the south at 20 kilometers an hour, becoming light this evening, low of 8 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect the rain to continue with periods of rain and showers over the weekend and getting into next week as well. Temperatures between 10 and 12 degrees, overnight lows between 5 and 8 degrees. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, conditions are looking mainly cloudy with a 60% chance of showers and a low of 4 degrees. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect some showers getting into the weekend, then sunshine on Sunday and 15 degrees, before some rain is likely to come back to start the week. Daily temperatures between 13 and 15 degrees, overnight lows between 4 and 5. Checking your northwest highways now. On Highway 16, there's bridge maintenance in several locations. There's also road sweeping and utility work to watch out for. On Highway 37, watch for bridge construction as well as frost heaves. On Highway 37A, keep a lookout for falling rocks. And on Highway 118, there is roadside brushing as well as shoulder maintenance. And this is what the roads were looking like around the region this afternoon from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, Carney signs off on a campaign promise. Prime Minister Mark Carney has delivered on one of his campaign promises, which aims to increase affordability for Canadians. Here's CTV's Judy Trin.
It's my pleasure on behalf of the Cabinet to sign this order to deliver that tax cut.
With the stroke of a pen, the Prime Minister ordered his government to deliver a middle-class tax cut by Canada Day.
We'll reduce taxes for the 22 million Canadians who pay federal income taxes.
When Parliament resumes, the Liberal government will table legislation to reduce the lowest income tax rate by 1%. That will save a two-income family up to $840 a year, a campaign promise estimated to cost $28 billion over 5 years. But the government isn't prioritizing drafting a budget this upcoming session.
We're going to be introducing a Ways and Means motions as we enter back into Parliament. We'll table legislation. Then there'll be a throne speech, and then we'll present a fall economic.
That means it will be months before we see the full picture about Canada's fiscal health, what investments are being made, what programs will be cut, or how much money needs to be borrowed.
This is a government that promises to be able to shift the needle when it comes to economic growth, when it comes to productivity. So we want to see the details.
The other big priority is to eliminate federal barriers to provincial trade. While that won't compensate for lost revenue from U.S. tariffs, it could add $200 billion to the Canadian economy each year.
That is a lot, and we need it right now. And I really believe this is a moment we can get it done.
Carney's government will have 20 scheduled days in Parliament to pass its tax cut bill and make good on its promise for free trade within Canada by the end of June.
A trending game that has become a hit for high school students across the country comes with a warning from law enforcement about the risks. As CTV's Kathy Lee reports, the game is meant to be fun, but in some cases has taken a serious turn.
So sorry. No! The game is simple and making waves with high school students across Canada, often played as a way to celebrate their final year.
You have to download the app and make an account and everything. You get a target, so somebody you have to shoot with a water gun.
Senior Assassin is a dynamic cat and mouse chase and ends with one person standing.
Some people just go crazy over it. I've seen so many people they plan, at 9 p.m. let's camp out at this guy's house.
It's $5 entry fee, and I think the prize pool is $700. It gets pretty fun, but it gets also pretty intense.
Intense to the point a school in Guelph, Ontario was locked down and a student arrested at gunpoint after complaints about teens having guns. The firearms were actually painted water guns. Youths playing Senior Assassin with what looked to be firearms have been reported in other cities in Ontario, prompting some police departments across the country, including in Calgary, to issue warnings, urging players to think twice about how they play.
The police will respond appropriately. The fear is that maybe the youth doesn't take it as seriously, and we just don't want anyone to get hurt.
You must play the game responsibly.
The app creators addressed the issue on social media.
If you or anyone in your game uses a water gun that closely resembles a real firearm in shape or color, your game will immediately be removed from Splash.
Some school boards also working with police and reminding families that toy weapons and water guns are prohibited on school property. The effort to ensure the students' safety.
I think you just got to play smart and play by the rules,
while still having fun. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Turning to the markets now, strength in the industrial, telecommunication and utility sectors helped Canada's main stock index rise more than 200 points, while U.S. stock markets were mixed. The Canadian dollar dropped 1/10 cent. The price of gold rose $38.30. Oil dropped $1.53. Natural gas dropped 13 cents. Aluminum rose $61.50. In Toronto, the TSX rose 205 points. The Venture Index rose almost 9. In New York, the Nasdaq rose by 34 points, and the Dow Jones rose about 272. Still ahead, the laptop trend to watch out for. An American trend among teens is sparking major safety concerns in schools and causing fire officials to sound the alarm. Here's ABC's Rhiannon Alley.
This morning, an urgent warning. Schools and fire officials across the country are sounding the alarm over videos like these, all part of a social media Chromebook challenge where students are putting objects in the charging ports of their devices in an effort to spark a fire. The Colorado Springs Fire Department seeing more than 30 incidents just in the last few weeks.
This really spread quickly. And that, of course, is concerning because this is not unique to any one state. It's not unique to any one zip code.
This district in New Jersey warning parents of the trend, writing, "We are beginning to see damages to Chromebooks in our middle and high schools." In Newington, Connecticut, the school district sharing these photos showing what happened when a student there attempted the challenge.
A teacher became aware of a Chromebook that was smoking. And when they smoke, they also don't smell so good. And that individual teacher made the very smart move to access the fire alarm, and the entire school was evacuated.
The warning to students, this challenge can be extremely dangerous and put people in serious harm's way.
These lithium-ion batteries are just a different type of fire that fire departments around the nation have been dealing with and trying to find the best way to get this under control. Once you have that thermal runaway in a Chromebook, it is a difficult fire to put out.
Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Finally tonight, we leave you with one BC man's inspirational story that shows limits can be pushed and some boundaries are just a perception. Here's CTV's Adam Sawatsky.
Although this pup has a capacity for love that's boundless,
dog is man's best friend no matter what.
And his work as a guide dog is flawless.
He's so enthusiastic about his job.
Kyle Kuhn says what Hugh can do is not limitless.
I wouldn't ask him to guide me, for a triathlon. His swimming and biking is a little suspect.
But to appreciate why Kyle would ask himself to tackle a triathlon, we need to go back to when he was diagnosed with a rare eye cancer and completely lost his sight at 6.
How am I going to play outside with my friends? And that really sent me into basically a depression, and it was scary.
Kyle couldn't see a way to move forward in life until he was introduced to a blind athlete who inspired him to move up through rock climbing.
I fell in love with it very fast.
And fueled by the sport's puzzle solving.
It was putting together this puzzle. How do we get from the ground to the top?
And although he grew up to summit multiple mountains, including Kilimanjaro, Kyle says he always responded to overcoming the mental and physical challenges of solving that puzzle the same way.
It's like, that was so amazing. It's so awesome. Where's the next one? What's the next challenge?
Kyle started going down mountains on skis before challenging himself to do 3 sports in one race as a triathlete.
If it involves adventure, I want to be a part of it.
Well, seeing as guide dogs like Hugh couldn't compete, Kyle started training with human guides like Nico Lightbody, who could.
He's just an inspirational person because he doesn't let anything stop him and has these really cool goals.
And after setting the goals of running major marathons and completing Ironman triathlons, Kyle became a 2-time Paralympian and gold medal winning world champion.
Just because I don't see the world in one sense doesn't mean I don't have a vision of what's possible.
And what's possible for all of us, Kyle says, is to make the choice to push your limits and realize your dreams. And if you can share it with your friends, even better. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
That's our news for now. Thanks for watching.